Hi Crypt Keepers, thank you for tuning into Amy's Crypt. I hope that you're all ready to go on a big journey today because we are traveling to Mexico to visit Teotihuacan. And I really hope that you guys find interest in this video because this is one of the most amazing locations I have ever visited. It also has some very dark history and legends associated. So dark, guys. We're going to get into some stuff that involves human sacrifice and even gateways into the underworld. If you guys aren't familiar with Teotihuacan, it is actually an ancient Mesoamerican city that is located today just outside of modern day Mexico City, and it's best known for containing a large amount of these ancient beautiful pyramids. And this place is damn old. It dates back to 400 BC, and by the time 400 AD had rolled around, this was one of the most powerful and thriving cities in the area. Now, what is so interesting about this place is there is just so much mystery surrounding it. We actually don't know a lot about this place. Sure, at one point it was this thriving city, but if we fast forward a little bit to 700 AD, the city had been abandoned. It had collapsed. No one really knows what happened there, but it was just completely left alone. It became a ghost town essentially. And it wasn't until a few hundred years later, sometime in the 1400s, it was actually rediscovered by the Aztecs. And they are actually the people who gave Teotihuacan its name. And if you translate that into English, it comes across as something like where the gods were created, which is kind of cool to think about because you just picture these, you know, the Aztecs rocking up at Teotihuacan and finding this glorious city filled with these ancient pyramids, not knowing anything about it. And sure, it would look kind of godlike to them. I mean, it did to me when I visited a couple of years ago. I mean, it's just breathtaking. It's amazing to see. And I took an ungodly amount of photos there. So many photos. You guys probably saw them on my Instagram if you follow me. If you don't, go check me out at AmysCrypt. But I just picture that being such a special moment in history when this place was rediscovered empty as a ghost town. Anyway, to get back on track, because of the abandonment of this city, there's so much mystery here. There's really not a lot known about it. There's not a lot of clues to the past. No one knows the origins of Teotihuacan. We really don't know a lot about it. That is why this place is so truly fascinating. There are some things that we know though. There have been pieces of evidence collected over time, and these tell of ancient rituals that were done in this space, namely sacrifice and of course human sacrifice as well. And I will get into that in this video, but I do want to talk a little bit about the pyramids before I go too much further. So you can picture this city as being laid out on a grid. It is very, very symmetrical and it covers a lot of ground. It covers some 8 square miles, and this makes sense when you look back in time at the estimated peak population of Teotihuacan, which is said to have been around 200,000 people. Now, amongst all of the structures and the stone buildings left here are a lot of pyramids, of course, but also a lot of places of religious significance such as temples. Now, what is also really interesting about Teotihuacan is there is a massive pathway cutting right through the middle of this place. And when I say massive, I mean massive. This path is about 40 meters wide and stretches for 2.5 k's. But here's the kicker, guys. Here's the really creepy part. This pathway is named Avenue of the Dead. Now, along this Avenue of the Dead, you'll find a lot of very significant and very important places to the city. There is a number of pyramids, a number of temples, but the most important ones that will stick out are the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, and we also have the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon. Now, for this video, because I know that you guys like the creepy stuff and the really dark history that I tell, I'm going to focus in on sacrifices and the religious significance of these. There are known to be a number of both humans and animals being killed to be sacrificed to the gods at Teotihuacan. Now, we know that these sacrifices occurred within the ancient city because evidence has actually been uncovered of this. So in the late 80s, scientists uncovered a pit of bodies that was located right near the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. Now, this long pit in the ground contained 18 bodies that was said to have been religiously sacrificed to the gods. What is even eerier than this though is that just after this discovery, another was made of a much larger pit that contained contained some 200 sacrifices. And it is believed that these people were of some significance and importance to the city, probably warriors or people with military background because of the type of clothing that they were buried in and that they were wearing. They also think that these sacrifices occurred around the time that the Temple of the Feathered Serpent was built, which they think would have been around 200 to 300 AD. Evidence of these sacrifices don't exactly stop there. Years later, more recently in 2014, there was actually a chamber discovered lying inside of the Pyramid of the Moon. And this chamber was almost, you know, a place of burial because there were 12 bodies found in there. Each of these bodies had their hands bound behind their back. 10 of the people in there had been decapitated, so their heads had been removed, and the other 2 obviously had also been sacrificed, but they were adorned beautifully with offerings of precious items. Now, it's also interesting to note that within this same burial chamber there was a number of animals that had also been sacrificed, and these ranged greatly. So you have large cats such as pumas or jaguars, and then you also have things such as wolves and coyotes, and even a lot of birds which they believe to have been eagles. Now, what really sends a chill down your spine knowing all of this when you visit Teotihuacan is just looking at the Pyramid of the Moon. So the Pyramid of the Moon, where these burial chambers were actually found, exists right at the very end of the Avenue of the Dead, and there's this great staircase leading up the pyramid with these huge platforms, and it's all connected in a way that just seems like this is a final kind of destination. And they actually say and believe that these, you know, these platforms could have been the places where these sacrifices were performed and these people were killed to, you know, offer their blood to the gods. So evidence of these sacrifices had already been found, but scientists also found something else which is of particular interest to me. In 2017, there was found to be a sort of passage inside of the Pyramid of the Moon, which also had a large tunnel leading straight down beneath the pyramid. Now, like a lot of the thinking around Teotihuacan, there is not a lot known about this place. There is so much mystery. So when this tunnel was discovered, I mean, no one truly knows why it's there or what its significance is, but there are a lot of theories, and some people do believe that this was some kind of funeral rite. So the passage and the tunnel that leads down was there to symbolize a descent into the underworld, or even possibly, you know, a hell dimension. And there are people who go even further and believe that this tunnel is a gateway. So it could be a gateway into a hell dimension or the underworld. Now, I should also mention, no one has been down there. No one has entered or seen this tunnel for themselves. It was actually discovered by scientists who are using a special type of technology, something that is able to scan the earth beneath the pyramid. So it was kind of mapped out electronically, and that's how they can see there is this chamber, this tunnel down there. Again, more mystery. No one knows what's down there, but people do speculate that if they were to descend and reach this tunnel, they'd probably find similar things to what they already have in the pyramid, such as that burial chamber. They speculate they might find more artifacts and potentially more sacrifices down there. It's also particularly interesting to people because these tunnel systems, they've actually been found before. I believe that they found one beneath the Pyramid of the Sun, but unfortunately that tunnel had been looted. So someone had already been down there and stolen a lot of the stuff. So it's not really that helpful to the archaeologists or the anthropologists that would want to study that stuff and learn a little bit more about this ancient city's history, which is, you know, largely missing and not known. So I guess my question to you all is, what do you think about this discovery? Do you think that it is something that we should be getting down there and checking out and potentially opening up this portal or this gateway into the underworld? Or do you think that's something, or maybe we shouldn't be messing with, that could really be trouble? I think that if we were to go down there, again, there is amazing pieces of evidence that could really help people who study this ancient city know a bit more about its origins, the people who built it, and just learn more from it. But I'm interested to know what your thoughts are. Do you think that there could be some kind of trouble lurking down there, or, you know, it's just some ancient tunnel filled with something that could give us us a little bit more knowledge about this place. Now, I know that you guys are all about ghosts and all about hauntings, and I am very much so all about that too. I actually couldn't find anyone's ghost stories about Teotihuacan or anyone visiting and having paranormal experiences. That's not to say that they don't exist, there just weren't any documented that I was able to find. So if you've ever visited this place yourself, which is just amazing and so cool, I want to hear from you. But I especially want to hear from you if anything spooky has ever happened. And who knows, I mean, this place is very associated with death, so it could be haunted. But I also think, how long is a ghost gonna hang around for? They would be there for so long waiting for someone to come in with a spirit box and investigate them or something. They might already be gone. And I know that sounds silly to most people, but this is the kind of stuff that we talk about on my channel. So please drop me a comment. I really want to hear your thoughts about this place. Now, I have been wanting to create this video for so long. I visited Teotihuacan a long time ago, it feels like now, but I still think that it's cool to feature this on my channel and have it on my website, because there are some interesting pieces of history to this place. It's also just magnificent, and we can't really go anywhere or really travel at the moment, so it's cool to revisit these places that I did get to go before our lockdown started. I'm also just intrigued about the little clues and pieces of evidence they keep finding at Teotihuacan, because it could just piece together, you know, some new information about the city, and it's just so mysterious. And what the hell is this tunnel under the Pyramid of the Moon? Does it really go down to the underworld? Like, I want to know. I think my vote would be open it up. I want to see what's in there. Now, I really do hope that you guys all enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. That really means a lot to me. If you want to do any more reading about this place or any haunted places that I visited from all around the world, you can go to my website, AmysCrypt.com. You guys can also see what I'm up to on my social media accounts. I'm at AmysCrypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're after bonus content and you want more out of AmysCrypt, then I'm also posting a lot of content at the moment over on my Patreon and my YouTube members. I have links for them below. But thank you so much for watching, Crypt Keepers. Until next time.